Coaches Show is brought to you by Chris Lindahl Real Estate and by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota. With Lindsay Whalen and Ben Johnson. Now, it's the Gopher Coaches Show.
And welcome into the Gopher Coaches Show. I'm Pierre Nugent, joined as always by K-Fans Justin Gard. And with us today is Gopher Women's assistant coach Carly Thibault-Dudonis. Carly, thank you so much for joining us. Carly, and of course because Lindsay Whalen still on the mend after undergoing an appendectomy. And Carly, we appreciate you joining us today. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, and I apologize for any letdown for not having the same, dry sarcasm and sense of humor as this way, but I'll do my best.
I have a feeling that Justin's going to make up for that as the show goes along. That's what we have him here for.
No, well, I told Carly yesterday after the game on Sunday, she deserves a break. You know, she's associate head coach, recruiting coordinator, defensive coordinator. Now she's acting head coach, and what do? We make her do the coaches show for 30 minutes.
How many more titles can we put on her resume? My goodness. Well, Carly, through 16 games, this team sits at an even 8-8. From your perspective, what has worked well and what has been lacking thus far this year?
Yeah, I think for us, the 8-8 kind of shows just our consistency. Deja said it yesterday at the end of our press conference at the end of the game. And honestly, it was just when we show up ready to play, when we're focused and we play together and we play, focused and hard throughout the course of the game, really good things happen for us. And that's been something we've talked about a lot over the last few weeks. And then granted, we've played some really, really, tough competition, which has prepared us to go into the Big Ten and hopefully make some noise in the Big Ten. But what's worked is when we really share the ball. I think we had 15 assists last night, and we've had games where we've had 18, 20 assists. That's a huge point of emphasis when we move the ball and change sides of the floor. And then defensively, it's just kind of our discipline. We've gone a little bit more zone after the Christmas break, and I think that's been a good addition for us to be able to change things up on teams as well.
But you talked about moving the ball and sharing the ball, and you obviously did that very well through about, I'd say, 3 quarters against Maryland, and Deja Winters was one who benefited from that. She was absolutely on fire with 20 points. And then fourth quarter, it looked like Maryland really extended themselves defensively and made it difficult for you to reverse. I mean, was that kind of the big change you saw in the fourth quarter? Because that's where it seemed like they really asserted themselves. Yep.
We had some really timely turnovers, just trying to swing the ball. They did a great job of kind of denying our trail, denying out any kind of middle of the floor down screen, and we're just able to get some cheap ones in transition, which kind of separated them a little bit. And they credit to them, they've got great length and great athleticism that they capitalized on. And that's where Sarah did a great job of running the point, but it hurts in moments like that where you don't have someone that can necessarily create for her. And Lex did a great job, but when Sarah was at the point, she was doing a lot of the creating. And so some of those, just those tweaks here and there hurt us. But I thought Sarah did a phenomenal job of taking over his point there, even in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and Maryland's Chloe Bibby was really a thorn in the side for you guys. 23 points, 6 rebounds, 3 steals in the game for her. What makes her such a tough challenge to guard?
Yeah, I actually, it's funny. I recruited Chloe when I was at Mississippi State, and she committed to us there, and I coached her freshman year at Mississippi State. Tried to, get her to come up to Minnesota, but I think it was a little too cold for her being an Aussie. But, that's what she does. She's a really, really good, just consistent player. She makes shots. She makes 15-footers. She rebounds really well. We've known that about her. And then, those other guys with Owusu and Reese and Diamond Miller, they just take up so much of your attention that she just does what she does. She makes easy plays. She makes everybody else around her better because she stretches the floor. And when you're focusing so much attention on these other guys, she just kind of got loose on us at times.
When you play the schedule like you have, and I think about going to the Bahamas, I think about going to Arizona State, certainly North Carolina for the Big Ten ACC Challenge, and now the Big Ten, Carly, you're playing tough teams. So odds are you're going to get down by double digits, 10 points, 12 points like you were yesterday. But one thing this team has consistently done all season, Sunday included, is battle back. You cut it to within 1 there in the third quarter. So during those times, what are you guys emphasizing? What are you talking about? What are you doing to get yourselves back into these games?
Yeah, that's been a huge focus for us. First of all, obviously not getting down. But when we are in those moments, Coach Shimmy on our staff says it all the time, what's your next best action? So if you turn it over, are you going to pout? Are you going to feel bad for yourself? Or are you going to you going to sprint back and make a play on the defensive end? And I thought there was a lot of times we did a great job of that last night. Maybe we turned it over, and I think there's one Deja turned it over right in front of our bench in a crucial moment, but she sprinted back, challenged a layup, and then Lex had her back and kind of got a defensive rebound, and we could go. And so I thought we did that consistently yesterday, and that's why we were able to kind of consistently cut their runs to just 4 and 6 versus extend them to like 10-point runs.
And on an individual level, Deja Winters came into Sunday's contest 4th on the team in scoring at just over 10 points a game, but she doubled that Sunday against Maryland. From your vantage point, what was she able to do to have such a big game for you guys?
Yeah, when she hits one or two, when she sees one or two go in, the basket gets really, really big for her. And I always feel good when she hits her first one. I'm like, oh, it's going to be her night. And I think, our team feels that about all of our shooters. When they see one or two go in, they start to feel really good. And I thought Diva, Sarah, even our bigs, I think Bailey had a couple kickouts, did a good job of finding our shooters and just making the simple plays for her. And then she had a couple that were just really nice, step back threes. And once she gets going, I feel good about the ball being in her hands.
We're learning about Deja Winters. We've known about Sarah Scalia. She's had some incredible moments as a Gopher, including this year. And you mentioned it a little bit on this show already, that she's asked to do so much. I feel like we take her for granted sometimes because the shooting's like almost always there. Yesterday, she struggles from 3, finds a way to get to the basket a bunch in the second half, is running the points, typically guarding the other team's best players. So how much do you appreciate just everything that she's able to do with, by the way, a 40% three-point shooting clip?
Yeah, I mean, so much credit goes to just the work that Sarah puts in. I mean, she is in the gym every single day, regardless of whether she's played 40 minutes the night before. She's going to find a way to get extras in. And, you guys probably saw she made a bunch of floaters yesterday. She was in the gym the day before working on it after practice for like 25, 30 minutes just on her floaters. And so that so much credit goes to the work that she puts in. And I think she's a great example for our team for what that looks like. But yeah, she does a lot for us. And it just so much credit goes to her maturity for being able to go from being kind of your 2 guard, your shooter, your off ball guard to handling the point against a top 10 team. And I just think that shows so much of her growth and maturity over the last couple of years.
Carly, we briefly touched on this a moment ago, but the fourth quarter has been a quarter where your team has struggled at times. You've been outscored by 44 points in total in fourth quarter so far this season. What do you want to see more from this team in the final 10 minutes of play?
Yeah, just the grit. I mean, and we talked about it a lot around Rutgers. That grit and toughness of executing, whether you're tired, whether mistakes have been made, of not being able to kind of flip the switch if a team makes a run, and just stay poised down the stretch. That's kind of another word we've talked about a lot, is poise. And like we talked about earlier, but some timely turnovers, some timely offensive rebounds for them, just not knowing personnel here and there of taking away a shooter. And so that's something we've talked about. And I think as we, get everybody back, as we get Jazz back, we've got some more subs so that we don't need someone like Sarah to play 37 minutes and kind of be gassed down the stretch.
And if you get your head coach back, and that's what everybody wants to know, you included, you and I have talked, you said it's fun to fill this role, but we all want Lindsay Whalen to be back. So how connected has she stayed since she had her surgery, and how much have you been able to stay connected with her and her with the team?
Yeah, I mean, that's what Lindsay does. She's phenomenal. She's a great communicator. She's kept the lines of communication open throughout the whole time, except for maybe about 6 hours around her surgery. But other than that, she's been firing in, and she's been great of empowering me, but still really being, putting her fingerprints on everything as far as game plan, talking with our players, texting with them, just being around as much as she could. And so she's a phenomenal, like I said, communicator. And so we're looking forward to having her back, and all things are pointed for her being back for Wisconsin. How
helpful has it been for you, and I'm assuming the staff and players as well, that it's not like this is the first time you've talked to the team when Coach Whalen goes away for surgery? You're heavily involved. You're the associate head coach. She really has empowered the entire staff to be a part of this thing from day one. So how much has that eased the transition for you to just slide over one chair?
Yes, I mean, she is very empowering of all of her staff, her assistants, her support staff. She wants everyone to have a voice. And so, they're used to hearing my voice, Coach Kelly's voice, Coach Shimmy's voice. And so that was really easy, and because I do run the defense, they're used to hearing my voice in that regard as well. All 3 of us assistants do scouting reports. So we're constantly kind of putting our team through things. And then Kelly and Shimmy have been phenomenal, both having been head coaches at different stints in their career, both being seasoned veterans. So I've leaned on them a lot throughout all of this. Ask for advice. I go to them with questions during the game, before the game. They're probably sick of hearing from me. But I really appreciate those two. And then Melissa on our staff has been doing this a long time. So just kind of keeping the program running without a hitch. She's been phenomenal as well.
Now, Carly, what I really want to know is, did Lindsay call you after surgery? Was she still coaching? Was she even trying to recruit the day of surgery? Knowing Lindsay Whalen, I'm sure she was probably already kind of on the horn trying to figure out what's going on with her team. Or is that too much to assume?
No, she was, I think she was texting me about 2 hours after surgery at about 10 p.m., which, says a lot about her and her toughness. And so we talked about that with our team is, Coach Whalen coached 3 practices with severe, abdominal pain. And y'all probably didn't even know about it. And so that was a great example for our team to kind of realize, see a living, breathing example of toughness. And then she's been in touch. And with the Rutgers game, it was nice because she was able to be there all the practices leading up except for the day before. And so we kind of were able to know her vision, see her vision, and just carry it out for her.
Does this set the standard now for the players? I mean, if I was a player, I don't know if I can say, hey, my leg hurts or my arm hurts, and have a response from coach. Well, I was coaching practice with almost a busted appendix. I think you can play. Is that? I feel like it's too high of a standard now, Carly.
No, I mean, we want our players to be smart always. Their health and safety is always first. But I think that's just great. It's just for them to realize, okay, know the difference between hurt and injured. Am I sore or am I actually injured, and do I need to go talk to somebody? And our support staff and our training staff is great about helping them through whatever it is. But yeah, when Coach Whalen is fighting through that, it makes you want to run through a wall for her.
She also told me, by the way, originally on Sunday night, she thought it was indigestion from watching the Vikings.
Oh, boy.
And then when that kind of wore off, she said, well, maybe it's not that. Maybe it's not Vikings-Packers. It might be something else.
Health and safety is the first priority at the U. Health and safety, the first priority here at Fox 9 as well. Yeah, more to come here on the Gophers Coaches Show with Carly Thibault-Dudonis. We're going to take a look ahead at the rivalry showdown against the Badgers when we come back. Stay with us on the Gopher Coaches Show.
To the Gopher Coaches Show.
Welcome back to the Gopher Coaches Show. We're now turning the page to Wednesday's contest in Madison. Assistant coach Carly Thibault-Dudonis with us. Carly, Wisconsin has struggled this season, but I'm sure I don't have to tell you that when it's Minnesota and Wisconsin, you throw out the record books, right?
Correct. Always. I've learned that quickly in my time here in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
You go ahead. You tell. What are you looking forward to the most about Wednesday's matchup with Wisconsin? Like you were saying, I mean, the record books are thrown out. It doesn't matter who stands where in the standings. I mean, this is just 2 rivals going at it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's a great chance for us to really just keep focusing on us and who we want to be. Coach Whalen's talked about that a lot since Christmas, of like us knowing our identity as a team. And I think this is a great chance for us to, like you said, throw out the the record, what their record is and all that, and just be us and dictate from start to finish, and not worry about, coming back from 10 or coming back from a run. And so I think it's a great test for us, and, all bets are off in rivalries.
With Maryland, the Terps had 5 players, I think, averaging double figures. I know they had 5 players in double figures on Sunday. The Badgers have 2 players averaging double figures, which to me seems a little bit more standard as a defensive coordinator. You could probably correct me if I'm wrong. So as you look at those 2 players and what they do well, how do you kind of manage that?
Yeah, I mean, they obviously, it's a little bit different than Maryland. I mean, Maryland does have several pros on their roster, but that doesn't mean that we take anything lightly. We'll still be able to kind of mix up our defenses and throw them off that way. I think we can bring a little bit more heat and pressure potentially. But at the same time, it's about us being us defensively and being disciplined. I think a huge point of emphasis for us as well is the rebounding side of the ball. That's kind of been a thorn in our side all year. And so they do have some size at every position. Their guards are big. Hilliard is big, even as a guard, and she rebounds well, as the stats indicate. So it's another challenge and another time for us to take a step in the right direction there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Carly, I'm sure I don't have to tell you, the Big Ten is always a battle year in and year out. You have 4 teams in the top 25. 7 teams already have double-digit wins. What do you see in this conference this season, and just how difficult every game is going to be from here on out?
Yep. I mean, every game is going to be a challenge, whether it's top of the league or bottom of the league. And that's shown year in and year out. But I think we've also proven to ourselves in being with Michigan and being with Maryland, we can play with anybody. And we've, obviously we were down, we lost by 3 against Nebraska. And that was without Jazz as well. Maryland was without Jazz as well. So I think we've proven and give ourselves confidence that we can play with anybody. And now it's just probably like 5 or 6 possessions each half that we just have to take away one more my bad, one more mental mistake, one less turnover, one less offensive rebound, and those games will fall in our favor.
Ben Johnson, one of the things he said as a first-year head coach was his big adjustment, Carly, was going from the suggestion guy to where the buck stops. That my opinion is really the one that matters at the end of the day. Obviously, you've mentioned it already. Lindsay's still involved with the program. She's still helping everybody out here while she recovers from surgery. But what was it like for you, Rutgers game and Maryland, to know that any suggestion in the timeout, any thought you had, eventually it was coming back to you and you were going to get to kind of navigate that thing? What was that like for you?
Yeah, that was one of the bigger adjustments of just kind of having all eyes on you at different times. And so whether it's pregame speech, at timeouts, halftime, things like that, of kind of being the one to like, oh, I have to be the one to make the adjustments and, say the right things, push the right buttons. So that was a really new experience for me. And so I, in those moments, I really relied at timeouts of listening to Kelly and Shimmy, just as Lindsay does with all of us at timeouts. And then, I do feel confident in our system and our scheme and my, X's and O's that we were able to make right adjustments in both games, even though Maryland didn't come, bounce our way. But I took a page out of Lindsay's book and just, really relied on the people around me as well. And
going back to that Rutgers game, how big was it to finish it the way you did, where you were in control of it much of the night? Rutgers makes a little bit of a run. Caddy Sissoko, who we'll talk about next segment, was absolutely phenomenal. But to be able to make those winning plays, where maybe Pierre talked about it in the fourth quarter, of other times you've come up a little bit short. How big was that for the players to see that if we continue to just do these things, we'll be able to finish one of these?
Yeah, the Rutgers game was a great example in Caddy and in Sarah. Neither of them had great offensive games early, but they both did other things to help us win. And so Caddy was great defensively and really good rebounding in our zone in the first half of Rutgers. And so that kind of kept her focused and energized throughout the course of the game, even when the offensive side of the ball was a struggle for her. So she did a great job of just staying with it and being a great communicator. And I think that kind of got her out of it. And then she had one great rim run for a layup. And once she saw one go in, it was kind of, the rest was history for there. And then I think she scored the last 11. And then same thing for Sarah in that game. She didn't shoot it great in that game, but she had 9 rebounds. And so she found another way to help the team win. And that's been a huge point of emphasis as well. Just what else can you do? What next best action? If you're not scoring, what else are you bringing to the team?
All right, stick around. More to come on the Gopher Coaches Show. When we come back, we'll spotlight a first-year Gopher who's turned into a serious contributor. That and more straight ahead on the Gopher Coaches Show.
Watching the Gopher Coaches Show.
Welcome back to the Gopher Coaches Show. Assistant coach Carly Thibault-Dudonis with us in place of the recovering Lindsay Whalen. And Carly, you've got 3 juniors in Sarah Scalia, Jasmine Powell, and Caddy Sissoko who have all had their moments so far this year. But how do you get them to have those moments more consistently as a group instead of it being one player one night and another player the next?
Yeah, so much of that is now we talk about it all the time this time of year. Coach Whalen always says it, when we're not in school, you're a pro right now. All you had to do is eat, sleep, and play basketball until school starts back up. So a lot of it is just consistency in the gym before and after practice. And then your consistency with your focus in practice, with your preparation, leading into games as well. So that's been a huge focus for us now that we've got about less than 2 weeks left before they go back to class, is just being in the gym, working on your game. So you do go into every single game with confidence that you can do it every game.
Those are your juniors. You have a freshman in the starting lineup, Rose Michaud, who you put in, about 8-9 games in. She had a career high 23 points against North Carolina, 12 rebounds the other night against Maryland. Is she ahead of schedule in terms of her development? What have you seen from her so far?
No, Rose has been great. She's come along every single day and getting better every single day. I think the biggest thing for her was, early on, just working on her footwork so she wasn't traveling. She got sped up a lot early in the season. And so Coach Shimmy's done a great job with her of just working on her footwork, catching and scoring, and not kind of lifting her feet quickly with her back to the basket. And then just the defensive side of the ball, she's really come a long way as far as defensive schemes, ball screen coverage. Everybody plays really fast in our league. Our non-conference obviously showed a lot of teams that played fast in UConn, Oklahoma, North Carolina. And so being able to kind of adjust on the fly and ball screen coverage, but she's so athletic, she's so agile, she's so active that she makes up for maybe mistakes because of how well she moves And then her rebounding, she just brings us so much on the rebounding, both offensively and defensively. She can rebound out of area. She can match physicality of teams like Maryland, Michigan, things like that. And so she's been a huge addition for our team.
You touched on the traveling, and I won't bore everybody with it, but she had, every time she touched the ball in the exhibition game, she traveled, and now she never does it. It's an incredible transformation. So you touched on that, but just really not being afraid, not backing down, whether it was North Carolina, who had some good bigs, or even Maryland, who obviously is one of the top 10 teams of the country. That's what stands out to me, is she doesn't seem afraid. No moment is too big for her. What have you seen there?
Yeah, no, I mean, she's a tough kid, and I think she just negates, if she even does have any nerves, she negates it with how hard she plays. And that's half the battle, is like, you may not know exactly what you're supposed to do in every single moment, but you can negate a lot of it with how hard she plays. But she's tough. You're exactly right. She is unafraid, and she's been a great addition around some good scorers, and complements them well, and can go kind of rebound some misses.
Carly, we just have a few seconds left here, but real quickly, anybody on the team that has surprised you so far this year?
I mean, we've kind of touched on the whole group. We've gotten really good lifts. I love our post depth. We've gotten great lifts from Bailey and LBK and Kayla as well off the bench. I think they've given us really, really good minutes, and it's nice that you can go into a game with really good bigs and not worry about foul trouble, because we do have depth in that position. And so they've been great there as far as being able to pick each other up regardless when Caddy's been in foul trouble or turnovers. And then I think Diva has done a great job of having poise. I thought she was great against Maryland with some poise.
No doubt about it. Carly, we appreciate you taking the time. And Coach Whalen, if you're watching, we wish you a speedy recovery. And again, we're looking forward to Wednesday's contest against the Badgers. Looking forward to another rivalry game between Minnesota and Wisconsin.